Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
Walking into Rossi's private dining room that Friday evening, I expected an intimate anniversary dinner. What I found instead was an ambush dressed up as a celebration. Both families sat around an extended table, my parents looking uncomfortable near the door, her parents positioned prominently at the center, her sister with that knowing smirk she always wore, my brother-in-law checking his phone like he had somewhere better to be, and her two closest friends flanking her end of the table like backup singers waiting for their cue. My chair sat isolated at the far end, facing everyone. A defendant's chair. She looked perfect. Hairstyled, makeup flawless, wearing the black dress she saved for important occasions. This wasn't spontaneous. This was choreographed. "You're late," she said, her voice carrying across the room with practiced projection. I checked my watch. 7:32. Our reservation was for 7:30. Traffic was fine, I said, sitting down in the chair clearly meant for me. Interesting crowd for an anniversary dinner. "Oh, this isn't about our anniversary." She smiled, cold and sharp. "This is about something much more important." The server brought appetizers. Nobody touched them. The air felt thick with anticipation, like everyone was waiting for a show to begin. My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. Her father sat with his jaw clenched. This wasn't a family gathering. This was an execution. She let the silence build, clearly enjoying the tension. Then she stood up, tapping her wine glass with her fork. The sound echoed in the private room. "Thank you all for coming tonight," she announced. "I know you're wondering why I gathered everyone here. Well, I couldn't keep pretending anymore." She looked directly at me. "I'm done. I'm done with this joke of a husband. Done pretending our marriage is something it isn't. Done acting like I'm not embarrassed to be married to someone so mediocre." Her friends nodded supportively. Her sister actually smiled. They were all in on this performance, sitting there like a jury that had already reached its verdict. She expected tears. Maybe desperate questions about what I'd done wrong. Definitely some begging, probably some groveling in front of everyone who mattered in our lives. Instead, I set down my fork and reached for my phone. The room went silent except for the soft classical music playing through the restaurant speakers. "Interesting timing," I said, my voice level. "I was actually going to suggest we talk tonight. But since you've made this a public forum." I unlocked my phone and stood up. "Let me contribute to this family discussion." Her confidence flickered. "Just for a second. What are you talking about?" "Oh, I think everyone here deserves the full picture." I walked to the wall where I knew the presentation screen was mounted. "I called the restaurant 3 days ago to confirm the room had Wi-Fi and display capabilities. Especially since you've decided transparency is so important." I connected my phone to the restaurant's wireless display system. The screen flickered to life behind me. "Since we're airing grievances publicly," I said, "let's talk about why our marriage really became a joke." Her face went white as the first image appeared on the screen. "Bank statements from our joint checking account. Anyone want to see where our money has been going?" I zoomed in on highlighted transactions. "These transfers here. $2,000, $3,500, $4,000. Regular payments to an account I didn't recognize. Total of $47,000 over 8 months. Her mother leaned forward, squinting at the screen. My father's expression shifted from confusion to concern. "That's private," she said, her voice cracking. "You have no right to." "Private?" I looked around the room. "You just called me a joke in front of 20 people. I think privacy left the building about 5 minutes ago." Her friend Emily spoke up from the side. "Maybe we should let them discuss this alone." "No," I said firmly. "You all came here to witness something. Let's make sure you witness everything." I turned back to my wife. "You wanted them here for my breakdown. They can stay for the truth." She tried a different approach, her voice softening. "Honey, please. You're embarrassing both of us." "I'm embarrassing us." I almost laughed. "You gathered 24 people to watch you dump your husband. I'm just providing context." Her mother shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe the financial details don't need to be." "Actually," I interrupted gently, "they do. Especially since you and your husband gave her $8,000 based on lies about me." I looked at her father. "Did she tell you I was gambling online? Or was it casinos?" His jaw tightened. "Online poker. Said you'd lost nearly 15,000. I've never played poker in my life, but I'd love to know where that story came from." I looked at my wife. "Care to explain?" She stood frozen, her perfect composure cracking. "I needed the money for the business. For the business, I repeated. Let's examine that. I swiped to the next image. I swiped to the next image. Her yoga studio's business account. This is interesting. Her struggling yoga studio that's supposedly bleeding money. I pointed to the deposits. $8,000 in January. $10,000 in February. $12,000 in March. Business looks pretty healthy to me. Her father stood up slightly. You told us his gambling debts were bankrupting you both. I don't gamble, I said calmly. Never have. Never even bought a lottery ticket. But that's an interesting story she told you. I swiped again. Venmo transaction history lit up the screen. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Regular payments from her account to someone named J.T. I zoomed in on the payment descriptions. Last night with the fire emoji. Can't wait for next week with a heart. Worth every penny with a kiss emoji. The room erupted in whispers. Her sister's smirk vanished. My mother covered her mouth. Those could mean anything, my wife said desperately. You're reading into emojis? I turned to face her fully. Let me read something else then. How about this text message from your phone that you left logged into our home computer? I swiped to a screenshot. From J.T. To you. Tell your husband you're at a yoga conference. Meet me at the Riverside at 8. Bring something black. That's from March 15th. Want me to show everyone what you charged to your credit card that night? Her sister stood up. J.T. As in Trent, your business consultant? Sit down. My wife snapped at her sister. Don't tell me to sit down. Is this Trent we're talking about? I nodded. Unless she knows multiple people with those initials who enjoy hotels and fire emojis. I smiled. Good question. Let's ask her. He is my business consultant. Her voice was shrill now, desperate. Those payments were for professional services. Professional services. I nodded slowly. Right. Let me show everyone what professional services look like these days. The next screen showed credit card statements. Her personal card, not our joint account. The Riverside Hotel. Boutique property downtown. Very nice, very private. She's been charging stays there monthly. I highlighted the dates. Always weekends. Always 2 nights. And look at these dates. They match perfectly with the Venmo payments to J.T. My mother spoke up, her voice quiet. You told us you were going to meditation retreats. In the mountains. The Riverside Hotel is many things, I said. But it's not a mountain meditation retreat. It's a luxury hotel with a very strict privacy policy. Popular with people who want discretion. She tried to grab my phone. I pulled it back calmly, not aggressively. Just removed it from her reach. Don't worry, I said. There's more. Since you wanted everyone here to witness what a joke I am. Stop this right now. Her voice was rising toward hysteria. You're ruining everything. I'm ruining everything. I looked at her with genuine curiosity. I'm not the one who rented a storage unit to hide stolen property. I'm not the one who committed insurance fraud. I'm not the one sleeping with a con artist while married. I paused. Actually, what am I ruining? Your plan to paint me as the bad guy? That does seem to be falling apart. My brother-in-law, who'd been silent until now, spoke up. Look, man, maybe this isn't the time or place. Really, I turned to him. Where should this conversation happen? In private, where she can control the narrative. Where she can tell each of you different versions of the story. I shook my head. No, she chose this venue. She sent the invitations. She set the stage. I'm just providing the script she didn't plan for. You're being cruel, her friend whispered. Cruel is staging an ambush to destroy someone's reputation. I'm just being thorough. I pulled up a timeline document I'd spent 2 weeks preparing. Clean, color-coded, impossible to misread. Let's walk through the last 8 months together. Month 1. She opens a separate bank account without telling me. Month 2. First Venmo payment to J.T. Month 3. First hotel stay. Month 4. She starts complaining to friends about how terrible I am. I looked at her friends. I have screenshots. One of you accidentally forwarded me a message thread. Both friends suddenly found their phones very interesting. Month 5. She borrows $5,000 from her parents, claiming I'm gambling away our savings. Month 6. Another $3,000 loan from mom and dad. Month 7. She rents a storage unit. I swiped to photos on the screen. The storage unit's contents. Anyone recognize these items? That's my grandfather's watch collection. The jewelry she claimed was stolen in a break-in last year. Expensive electronics. Important documents. Estimated value around $30,000. All sitting in a storage unit she rented under her maiden name. Her father stood up fully now. You told us you were robbed. We filed a police report with you. Do you understand you committed insurance fraud? Dad, please. Don't Dad, please me. I went to the police station with you. I held your hand while you cried about losing your grandmother's necklace. And it's been sitting in a storage unit this whole time? I was going to tell you. When? I asked. After the divorce was final and you'd moved everything to your new apartment? After you'd split our assets and disappeared with property you claimed was stolen? She looked around the room, desperate for an ally. Her friends were staring at their plates. Her sister looked disgusted. Her mother was crying quietly. You're all believing him? She asked, her voice breaking. Just like that? You're all turning on me. We're not turning on you, her mother said quietly. We're just seeing what's been in front of us this whole time. You don't understand. He's making it look worse than it is. How? I asked simply. These are bank statements, hotel receipts, your own text messages, your own Venmo payments. Which part am I making look worse? The context. You're not explaining the context. Then explain it. I gestured to the room. You have everyone's attention. Explain the context that makes stealing $47,000 acceptable. Explain the context for lying about gambling addiction. Explain the context for insurance fraud. I waited. I'm genuinely curious. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. That's what I thought, I said quietly. I hired a private investigator 3 weeks ago. Not because I'm vindictive, but because I needed to know if I was losing my mind. I displayed the PI's report summary. Turns out Trent has 5 other consulting clients. All women. All married. He has a history of targeting married women with businesses. 2 previous relationships ended with restraining orders. Police have been investigating him for fraud. The silence was absolute. Even the classical music seemed to have stopped, though it probably hadn't. So yes, I said, looking directly at her. I'm a joke of a husband. I'm the joke who worked 60-hour weeks while you built your business. The joke who paid our mortgage while you invested in your studio. The joke who believed you when you said you were at yoga retreats. I reached into my jacket and pulled out an envelope. The paper was thick, official, impossible to mistake for anything else. And I'm the joke who filed for divorce 3 days ago. I tossed the envelope onto the table in front of her. Divorce papers slid halfway out. You wanted to announce our marriage was over? Congratulations. You're 72 hours late. Her hands shook as she pulled the papers out. Her attorney's name was right there on the response deadline. Monday morning. Business hours. The terms are simple, I continued. I keep the house. I've been paying the mortgage anyway. You return everything in the storage unit. You repay the $47,000 you transferred plus the $8,000 you borrowed from your parents under false pretenses. And your parents get to be witnesses to the insurance fraud, which means that claim gets corrected. I disconnected my phone from the display. The screen went dark. My attorney is Michael Patterson at Patterson & Associates. Your attorney, whoever you hire, can contact him Monday. I grabbed my jacket from the chair. I paid for this room until 10. You all can stay and finish dinner. I've lost my appetite. Walking toward the door, I paused next to my parents. My father gripped my shoulder. My mother's eyes were wet, but she nodded. Her sister caught my arm as I passed. I'm sorry, she whispered. We should have questioned her story more. You trusted your sister. That's natural. She's the one who betrayed that trust, not you. Her father called out as I reached the exit. Son, and I still think of you as a son, you handled this with more restraint than I would have. Whatever happens next, you did the right thing. I nodded to him. Thank you. That means more than you know. As I reached the exit, her voice called out, small and broken. Wait, please, we can fix this. No, I said without turning around. We can't. You broke it too thoroughly. I'll change. I'll be better. Just give me a chance to prove. I turned back one final time. The room had gone completely silent. You want to prove something? Prove it to yourself. Prove it to your parents who trusted you. Prove it to your sister who defended you. But don't prove it to me. I'm done being your measuring stick. You can't just walk away from 5 years of marriage. Watch me. The parking lot was cold and quiet. My parents followed me out a minute later. Why didn't you tell us? My father asked. Because I needed to be sure. And I needed her to commit to this publicly. No taking it back. No claiming she was emotional or didn't mean it. My mother hugged me. What she did in there was cruel. She thought humiliation would make me small, I said. Instead, it gave me a stage. I drove to my apartment, not the house we'd bought together, but my grandmother's old place that I'd been renovating for 3 months. She didn't even know I had it. Turns out there were a lot of things she didn't know. The first text came at 11 p.m., then midnight, 1 a.m. By Saturday morning, I had 43 missed calls and a dozen voicemails I didn't bother listening to. Her sister called around noon. I answered on the 4th ring. I had no idea, she said without preamble. None of us did. We thought, God, we thought you were the problem. That was the point of last night's dinner. She's falling apart. Won't stop crying. Won't talk to anyone. She made her choice 8 months ago. She just didn't expect me to find out before she executed her exit plan. Her exit plan? The storage unit, the separate accounts, the loans from your parents. She was building a financial cushion for her new life. She just needed to make me look bad enough that no one would question why she left. Her sister was quiet for a long moment. Our parents want to talk to you. They can talk to my attorney. They want to apologize. They feel terrible about believing her stories. They should feel terrible, but their apology doesn't change what happened. She weaponized them against me, and they let her. That's harsh. Is it? Your father looked me in the eye at Thanksgiving and asked if I was getting help for my gambling problem. Your mother pulled mine aside at Christmas to express concern about my addiction. They didn't question her story once. They just assumed I was the villain she painted me to be. They're devastated now. They had no idea. They had no idea because they didn't want to know. It was easier to believe their daughter was a victim than to admit she might be a liar. That's not my burden to absolve. A long pause. You've become hard. No, I've become honest about what I deserve. There's a difference. Sunday morning brought an unexpected visitor. I was having coffee on my grandmother's porch when her car pulled up. She looked terrible. No makeup, hair pulled back, eyes swollen. She got out but stopped at the end of the walkway when she saw my expression. Please, she said. Just 5 minutes. You had 5 minutes Friday night. You used them to call me a joke in front of everyone we know. I can explain everything. No need. The evidence explains itself pretty well. She took a step forward. I stood up, not threateningly, just making it clear the porch was as far as she'd get. Trent was a mistake. A horrible mistake. But we can fix this. Counseling, therapy, whatever you want. I'll do anything. Fix what exactly? I kept my voice level. The affair? The theft? The insurance fraud? The elaborate fiction you created about who I was to justify what you were doing? I love you. No, you don't. You loved what I provided. The house, the stability, the financial security. You didn't love me. You loved having someone to blame while you did whatever you wanted. Please. The tears started again. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone deserves a second chance. You staged a public execution because you thought I was too weak to fight back. You gambled wrong. Now you get to live with that miscalculation. I walked back inside and locked the door. She stood in the driveway for 10 minutes before finally leaving. Monday brought the call from my attorney. Her lawyer had made contact. She wants to negotiate, Michael said. The terms are non-negotiable. She's claiming emotional distress, saying you humiliated her. I almost laughed. She gathered 20 people to watch her call me a joke. I just showed them why she really wanted a divorce. Truth isn't humiliation. Her attorney knows they don't have a case. The evidence is overwhelming. They'll accept the terms within a week. Tuesday, her parents called. Not her, them. Her mother spoke first. We're cutting her off financially. Completely. We gave her $8,000 based on lies about you. We want it back. My attorney is handling the restitution. Her father's voice was hard. What she did was unconscionable. To you, to us, to everyone who trusted her. We raised her better than this. I appreciate you saying that. Will you consider mediation? Sitting down together? No. Everything goes through attorneys. Clean, legal, documented. She wanted drama. Now she gets paperwork. Wednesday brought the news that Trent had vanished. Blocked her on everything. Changed his number, apparently left town. The PI confirmed he'd done it before. Get close to a married woman, extract what money he could, disappear when things got complicated. She'd been conned by the same man she was using to con me. There was poetry in that. Thursday, her business partner pulled out of the yoga studio. Without his investment, and with rumors spreading about why her marriage ended, clients started canceling. The studio would close within a month. I felt nothing about it. No satisfaction, no regret. Just the quiet acknowledgement that actions have consequences. Friday evening, exactly 1 week after the dinner, I was leaving my office when I found her waiting by my car. "This is harassment," I said calmly. "Leave, or I call the police. Just hear me out, please." I pulled out my phone and started dialing. I was wrong. Her voice cracked. About everything. Trent was a con artist. I was stupid and vain and selfish. But we built a life together. 5 years of marriage has to count for something. I paused with my thumb over the call button. 5 years should have counted for a private conversation. For basic honesty. For respect. You turned it into theater. I thought you'd fight for me. Fight for someone who thinks so little of me that she'd perform my humiliation for an audience? I shook my head. That's not fighting for someone. That's begging someone to treat you like a human being. I love you. You loved what you could take from me. My income, my stability, my willingness to believe your lies. When Trent offered something more exciting, you grabbed it. You just wanted to make sure you could paint me as the villain first. What do you want from me? Groveling? Public apology? I'll do it. I don't want anything from you. That's what you're not understanding. You're irrelevant to my life now. Her face crumpled. That's worse than hate. Probably. But hate requires investment. Anger requires energy. I have neither to spare on you. So that's it. You're just going to pretend I never existed? I paused with my hand on the car door. You existed. Past tense. You were my wife, and you threw that away for hotel weekends with a con artist. Now you're just someone I used to know who made spectacularly bad choices. We had good times too. Remember our trip to the coast? Our first apartment? The night you proposed? I remember a version of you that probably never existed. The woman I proposed to wouldn't have stolen from me. Wouldn't have staged a public humiliation. Wouldn't have lied to her own parents about gambling debts I never had. She wiped her eyes, mascara streaking down her face. You're really not going to give me any chance at all. You had every chance. Every day of our marriage was a chance to be honest. You chose differently. I was scared. Scared of being ordinary. Scared of being trapped. Scared of waking up at 40 and realizing I'd never done anything exciting. So you did something exciting by cheating and stealing? I shook my head. There are about 1,000 ways to handle a midlife crisis that don't involve destroying someone else's trust. You were always so perfect. So controlled. So sure of yourself. I felt like I was suffocating. I was working 60-hour weeks and paying our bills. That's not perfection. That's being a responsible adult. If you felt suffocated, you could have asked for marriage counseling. You could have told me you needed more adventure in our relationship. Instead, you manufactured reasons to hate me so you could justify what you were already doing. That's not fair. Fair? I opened my car door. You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been a private conversation about your unhappiness. Fair would have been honesty before betrayal. Fair would have been not making your parents think I was destroying our family with gambling addiction. They'll never forgive me for that. That's between you and them. But yes, lying to your parents and making them complicit in your narrative tends to damage relationships. Did you enjoy it? Her voice turned bitter. Standing up there, humiliating me in front of everyone? I didn't humiliate you. I showed everyone the truth. You humiliated yourself by building an entire life on lies. You could have told me privately that you knew. Given me a chance to explain. Explain what? The affair? The embezzlement? The storage unit full of items you claimed were stolen? I looked at her directly. There's no explanation that makes any of that acceptable. And you didn't want a private conversation. You wanted a public execution. You just expected to be holding the sword, not standing on the block. She slumped against the car next to mine. I've lost everything. My business, my family, my friends, you. You didn't lose those things. You traded them. You traded them for 8 months of hotel weekends and whatever fantasy you were chasing with Trent. He told me he loved me, that we'd build a life together once I was free. And you believed him? A man who sleeps with married women and takes their money? I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe someone saw me as special, as worth the risk. I saw you as special. I married you. I built a life with you. But that wasn't exciting enough, was it? That was just ordinary, boring faithfulness. She looked up at me, eyes red and desperate. What if I prove I've changed? What if I go to therapy, fix myself, become someone worthy of a second chance? Then you'll be a better person. Good for you. but you'll be a better person without me. You really feel nothing for me anymore? I considered the question honestly. I feel sorry for you. Sorry that you destroyed something real chasing something fake. Sorry that you're going to spend years rebuilding trust with people who loved you. But no, I don't feel anything romantic or even nostalgic. That died somewhere between the hotel receipts and the insurance fraud. I never wanted to hurt you. Yes, you did. Maybe not consciously, but you wanted me to be the villain badly enough that you were willing to hurt me to make it true. You needed me to be the problem so you could be the victim. The dinner was supposed to be your moment of triumph, finally exposing the terrible husband to everyone who matters. I was wrong. Yes, but being wrong doesn't undo what you did. It just means you now understand what you did. I got in my car. She stood there, and I could see her in the rearview mirror, looking small and lost in the parking lot. The divorce finalized 8 weeks later. She signed everything without changes. Her attorney advised that fighting would only make things worse. The evidence was too strong, and her credibility was destroyed. I kept the house. She sold the yoga studio's assets to cover legal fees and repay her parents. The insurance fraud charge was dropped after she returned the jewelry and paid a hefty fine. She moved to a different city, according to mutual friends. Started over somewhere no one knew her story. 3 months after that dinner, I was working from home when an old friend stopped by. You ever wonder how she's doing? He asked over coffee. No. Not even curious? About what? Whether she learned anything. Whether she rebuilt her life. I shook my head. She wanted to destroy me publicly because she thought I was weak enough to accept it. When I wasn't, her whole carefully constructed story collapsed. I don't wonder about her for the same reason I don't wonder about storms that passed. They're gone, and the weather is better now. He left an hour later, and I sat in my grandmother's house, looking around at the space I'd rebuilt. New floors, fresh paint, furniture I'd chosen myself. Everything here was mine. Clean, honest, simple. She'd thought the dinner was her power move. Gather an audience, deliver her verdict, watch me crumble under the weight of public judgment. What she didn't understand was that truth doesn't need an audience to be powerful, but lies do. She needed witnesses to make her story real. I just needed evidence to make her story impossible. The difference between us wasn't that I was stronger or smarter. It's that I never needed anyone else to validate my reality. She built her world on what other people thought. When I showed them what was real, that world disappeared. I didn't destroy her. She destroyed herself. I just refused to go down with her. Some people throw family dinners to tear you down. Smart people let them. Then they show everyone exactly why the dinner was really thrown. The truth is the only weapon you ever need, but you have to be willing to use it when it matters most. And you have to be willing to walk away once you've used it. 6 months later, I was having dinner with my parents when my mother mentioned she'd heard through a mutual friend that my ex had reached out, wanting to apologize properly. What did you tell them? I asked. That you'd moved on and weren't interested in revisiting the past. Good. My father studied me. No curiosity at all about what she wanted to say. She wanted to say whatever would make her feel better about what she did. That's not the same as a real apology. You've become hard, my mother said, though not unkindly. No, I've become clear about what I will and won't accept. There's a difference. We finished dinner, and I drove home to my grandmother's house, which now felt completely mine. Every room held memories I'd chosen to create, not ones forced upon me by someone else's deceptions. The house we'd bought together sold a month ago. New family, fresh start for them. I'd walked through it one last time before closing, seeing nothing but empty rooms. No ghosts, no regrets. Just space that used to hold my life. That Friday dinner at Rossi's felt like it happened to someone else now. The man who walked into that private dining room expected a quiet anniversary celebration. The man who walked out understood that sometimes the kindest thing someone can do is show you exactly who they are. She'd wanted to humiliate me into submission. Instead, she freed me to see clearly. The truth bomb I dropped didn't destroy her credibility out of revenge. It destroyed her credibility because her credibility was built on lies, and lies only survive in darkness. I just turned on the lights. Everything that happened after was simply consequence meeting choice. She chose deception. She chose performance over honesty. She chose to make her exit as dramatic and damaging as possible. I just chose not to let her write the ending. Sometimes the best response to someone trying to destroy you isn't fighting back harder. It's showing everyone the truth, and walking away with your dignity intact. The rest takes care of itself.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.